Right, welcome to the show. This is replacing our usual Thursday night therapy session. The doctor is on call and she is on vacation. So we're just going to jump in, do something right, see what we can talk about. So as everyone knows, well, maybe you don't know. So I'll give you a little bit background. And me and Ronan tonight are going to debate this subject. He was visiting before, and actually I live in Frisco, Texas, not too far from the high school where this took place. So there was a gentleman at the high school. I won't go into detail here, but a track meet. And during that track meet, it seemed to be an argument or something that ensued, left one person who lost their life, and the other person is facing first-degree murder. Who's right? Who's wrong? Is race an issue in this? We're going to find out. Rona, welcome to the show. We are on opposite sides of it because I'm going with the wrong. You're going to argue right. Go ahead and give a little intro.
Hold up. Wrong or right, that's all perception. It's all argumentative when it comes to the eyes of the law. And there's some situations we're going to bring out during this conversation. There's been plenty of people having the same conversation, from Anton Daniels to legal people within the state and out of the state. There are certain laws that are unique to the state of Texas. And I think they might be part of the situation that we have here. But I'm looking forward to the conversation and bringing out points on both sides.
All right. Well, I'm going to start it off. And I listened to a video, and this person actually just said everything I needed to say. I'm going to let him cook.
Oh, my God. Not Anton Dan. Not this fool. Please,
yeah,
not
I'm going to let him cook.
Austin White.
He's right about this. I'm going to stop him throwing some points. It's going to take about 6 minutes. Then you can go with however you want to roll. So let's bring him to the stage. I'm going to interrupt him a little bit because I'm going to agree on a lot of what he says. I'm going to make some points with it. Then I'm going to shut up and let you see what you got. Let's
Stabbed to death by Karmelo Anthony.
Yeah. My heart goes out to the family. They trying to make this a race issue, and this is a right or wrong issue.
Okay. So no, real quick, I like where you're going on this because I'm not even trying to race bait or anything. People are making this about black and white. You see that they're trying to make this kind of like a Trayvon Martin kind of, they're talking about it. But where do you?
It is. Trayvon Martin was an angry black kid that had to be sent to his father because he lacked discipline, grew up in a home with his single mother. Any well-behaved kid with manners that had respect of adults, once George Zimmerman approached him, whether he's right or wrong, as a child, this is an adult. You get off the phone with that fat-ass girlfriend you trying to fuck, you call your dad and say, hey, Dad, it's an adult around here to just stop me. He says he's calling the police. Rather than doing that, he had an attitude because as young black males in this country, we have an authority problem because we walking around angry, displaced from our father's issue, but we resent our mothers. So we're ticking time.
Because what happens, we talk about in the black community, you don't have a father in, you seem to always have anger issues, no respect for authority, and feel that you're entitled. A lot of us feel we entitled.
Bomb.
Hold on.
So that's why I said,
I thought this was still my intro, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's your intro.
We can interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. If it's your intro, go ahead.
No, because this is going to be a long intro. So go ahead.
Okay. The only reason I want to say that is because I don't want the rumor to be dispelled. Both of these young men have both their fathers and their mothers in the home. Okay. So let's not go with the single mother routine when it comes to Karmelo. His father is in the home. Obviously, you live in Frisco. It's a high-end area in the state of Texas. Supposedly one of the safest places in Texas in 2023, since 2023. So both of these young men have both their mothers and their fathers in the home. So with Charleston White making the assumption that he's an angry black man and he doesn't have a father figure in the home, that is absolutely incorrect.
We're going to discuss that.
Okay.
As the video goes on, because sometimes you can still have a father in the home and still be an angry brother.
Okay.
You be careful approaching some of these young kids. What a 13-year-old will kick a 40-year-old's ass.
That's true.
And that's what happened in that situation. He underestimated this kid, and he was looking for trouble. But by law, he was right. And he was judged by his peers. So we can't say nothing once you're judged by your peers.
Well, what do you think's going to happen in this Austin Metcalf thing? You think he's
Metcalf had to go, well, no, that boy going to jail.
Karmelo Anthony's going to go to jail.
Karmelo going to jail. Because listen, you cannot bring a weapon to school.
Yeah.
So you can't say I was
what if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense, because if you are afraid the day before where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notify the school teacher. School teacher, let's bring these kids in here and resolve this issue. It's called conflict resolution.
Exactly. You cannot bring something to school in preparation of what's going to happen. If you are in fear for your life, you go to somebody. Conflict resolution, which we don't have. The first thing you shouldn't do is bring a weapon and say, I'm going to try to go after somebody. There's a way, and he's going to state it. You know, there's a way that you should do it. Conflict resolution, we don't have it. What do we want to do when something happens? We want to go off. You want to add anything?
Go ahead.
We was taught in homes that has morals and values, you tell the teacher. Somebody fucking with you, you tell the teacher. Let the teachers know, so when y'all have an altercation, you're cleared and you're covered. Documentation beats conversation. So,
man, documentation beats conversation every single time. And I tell men that when they getting in an argument with some woman, you better record on that phone.
Check.
You better have something there, because if not, your word don't mean nothing. Documentation. If you have a paper trail, and other people are good at this, they create a paper trail and a whole line of stuff. You don't have a paper trail to say, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened. And we're going to get to some fallacies about what they're talking about with these guys even knowing each other and had conflicts before. That didn't happen. But hey, what happened to my
I don't know. Hold on. I'm trying to load files, and for some reason it popped up. My bad.
The documentation to say this is self-defense. It's a premeditated crime because you took a weapon in fear. Anticipating to use it.
That was premeditated, though.
And it said a track meet. You getting ready to run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to jail. You got to go. There's no so when is it all right to kill the bully? I don't give a fuck what the bully did. He don't have a right to die.
No.
Man.
And he gonna get into it, but we talked about this before. Back in the day, what you do is you just fight it out. And I've said it before, bullies are necessary. I know people don't like to hear that, and we like to play safe, but sometimes that's what made us tough. As a guy, somebody talking about your head, how you look, how you dress, you got on them old shoes, that started to build character in, because you're going to change it. Hey, when I was young, my brother used to pay somebody to beat me up. I didn't grab a knife or nothing like that.
That's a damn shame. Your brother.
Hey, that's what he did. He paid a dude who was, flunked a few times. He was 2 years older than me. I was like, he was like 9, I was 7. Strong little ghetto dude. And I just had to learn. But it wasn't not taking no knife. See, back in the day, what you did is you took it, you learned from it, and you kept going. It wasn't no, I'm taking somebody's life. That reminds me of how bullies are now. You got the Columbine issue. Somebody want to take and shoot up the whole school because they got bullied, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to fight this out. I'll win or lose, draw, we both go home.
Man, you weak man. That's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies, and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds.
Okay. You can say things like this as an adult because you have time to think about it. But as a young man, he's saying, teach these young men how to handle bullies. Did he say how you're supposed to handle a bully? Because the only way you can handle, there ain't no conflict resolution. You either going to stick and move, or you going to get your ass whooped. But if that's the only way to deal with a bully.
Yeah, but if you feel in fear, you feel in fear of your life, you go tell somebody, this is what's happening to me.
But we already know a lot of school districts do not deal with children like this, and they ignore warning signs, and it takes multiple times for students to get the attention they need. Hence, the brother that I have on the show a couple of times, Jerry, he has a whole black student advocacy business that is nationwide because school districts do not pay attention, unfortunately, to black and brown kids as much as they do to white kids. So we're gonna skip past this and let him keep talking. Go ahead.
There's gonna always be one bird to come in and take the food from the. This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's gonna be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence. We teach a no snitching rule, right? So our kids are walking around with these mafia rules, codes, and ethics of the father because he lacked discipline. Grew up at the teachers know. So when y'all
no,
I agree with him because here, bullies happen in white schools just like black schools. But in black schools, we got to do drive-bys. We got to get that get back. We get embarrassed. Our pride done got hurt. That happens. We get bullied. You learn from it. You fight it. Y'all both live to go another day. We don't have conflict resolution in the black community. We want to solve everything in violence. And the reason I know it don't matter if you're a kid or an adult. I've been to little pee-wee football games. Pee-wee. Y'all 8 years old. The game don't matter. Y'all not pro. Y'all 8 years old, and you got somebody who's going to shoot the referee. You going after the coach. Mom and dad on the field arguing about something that don't matter. Y'all 8 years old, and people losing their lives because they don't have conflict resolution.
Man, you weak, man. That's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies, and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds. There's going to always be one bird to come in and take the food from the. This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's going to be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence. We teach a no snitching rule, right? So our kids are walking around with these mafia rules, codes, and ethics of the streets that's held over children about no snitching. So now I have to take a weapon because I don't want to be a snitch and kill another kid. Oh, it's a simple solution. Don't tell the teacher. Tell your parents.
You had a problem. You say you just said it. Teacher's not doing anything. Maybe the school not doing anything. Did you tell your parents what's going on? You can't put yourself. You can't be afraid and put yourself in a situation. I can't be afraid of a guy that's going to assault me and then show up at his house. I can't be afraid. Say I'm afraid of black people when I walk through the ghetto. It don't make sense. If you in fear, you in fear. And when you are in fear, you try to leave that situation. That person did not. They put themselves in a specific situation to cause a specific thing. And I'm going to talk about it when we get through.
All right. Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
If I was being...
Go ahead.
You play football, right?
Yes.
Both of these young men play football. So do you think that young man was in fear 100%? Or was it, I'm outnumbered 2 against 1?
All right, let's talk about that. It's a track meet. One, you premeditated by bringing a knife to an event. It's a
not
sports
necessarily.
Event. Why would you ever bring a weapon to a sports event? I wouldn't do it.
Why do people open carry in the states that are allowed to open carry? Because they know. Wait. Stop.
You're a teenager.
Because you already know things can break out. And you live in Texas as much as I live in Texas. And you know random shit breaks out all the time. You could be at the gas station innocently pumping gas and somebody drive up and try to take your car from you. So don't play like it ain't a dangerous place to be in Kansas.
So what you're saying is at a school event, everybody just bring their guns. We in Texas, just bring your guns.
Didn't say that.
Hey, you about to get first place? I got to shoot you because you can't get first over me.
That wasn't a situation.
Hold up. Yes, it was. Number 2, they had a tent. So each team, whenever you go to a sporting event, in a stadium, in a track stadium, there's sides. Right. There's the visitor side, there's the home side. The home side had a tent up that was their specific side.
Right.
They also had all of their gear under there. So if I'm ever playing football, what you never do is go to the opposing team, then sit in the seat and be like, I'm going to dare you to get me out. Huh? You don't do that. It's a respect. You say, man, this is the visiting side is on the other side. Can you please go over there? Because
wait. Did you just see how you did that? You said, can you please? You hear
asked
how
the
no,
person.
no, he didn't.
He asked him to get up and out. Well, first you should be
Stop.
sitting there anyway.
Hold
you
up.
know the rules, man.
Is it against the law for
somebody
him to
if you
sit
don't.
anywhere? Is it against the law for him to sit anywhere in that whole stadium? It is not against the law.
No,
And then wait a minute, hold on.
Mhm.
If the guy has a history with you, whether he's there or
that's
not,
the
hold
lie.
on, and
That's the
we're
lie.
gonna
That is the lie. That's the lie.
wait.
That's
Hold
the
on.
lie.
Hold
No
on.
history.
Okay, so you think.
Wait, hold up.
But we're gonna bring that up. Hold on, don't bring it up yet. No, don't bring it up yet.
No, because I gotta
bring it up
dispute
yet.
the lies. I can't let you just lie.
It's not a lie.
We have to
Listen.
caution the community to say, hey, we cannot trust everything that is online. The disinformation that is going online is hurting this case.
Who is this
And
guy?
it has to stop.
He's with the people that they brought in, that national whatever lawyer firm they brought in. I think
they're a hit squad. I already know about them. They're not legit. They're out just for popularity.
Hold up. They with the
I understand that.
Young man. They not with the white
And
guy.
I told you I have insider information when it comes to the people that are representing his family. So I'm just letting you know.
It has to stop. It has to stop, y'all. As we know it right now, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. They did not know each other. Let's stop it. They were not at a party together. Let's stop the lies regarding this situation. We also know that both Austin Metcalf, the twin brothers, were on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We also know that Karmelo Anthony was on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We know they both arrived, all of them arrived to this facility via the transportation of Frisco ISD. The lies has to stop.
The lies have to stop. And that's what's happening. That's what you brought up. See, in the media, just like hands up, don't shoot, all this stuff that we in the community always try to portray when it's a lie. We make up these stories that never happen, and then we try to feed it into what we think is be. These people, because what I heard before, they was a bully. He used to bully, like you said, he bullied him in school, and that's why he brought the knife. They didn't even know each other. They had never met before. There was never a history of it. And this boy still brought a knife there and still sat on the opposing team side, which you already know you're putting yourself in a conflicting way. Your opposing team, you're going to sit under their tent where their stuff is at. Somebody asks you to move, and you got to be big and bad. I ain't got to move. Touch me, and I'm going to show you. That's what happens. Ego got into it. He tried to flex, and then I'm going to show you what happened. He brings out a knife where all he had to do was get up and move and walk away. You know you in the wrong. It's just like I would never go to an opposing team and talk all that, and then and what's going to happen? There you go. First lie, never knew each other. Why you bring a knife then? You wasn't in fear for your life. You was waiting for something to happen.
And I'm in self-defense, even though he have an undeveloped brain and he's impulsive, why run?
I don't know.
Why get rid of the knife? You're showing criminal intent. Why throw the knife away where they can't find it? He wasn't found with the knife in his pocket. He wasn't sitting down with the knife in his hand, ready to explain what happened.
Yeah. So, but do you think that he had some sort of predisposition to wanting to murder? Is that what you're saying? Is that
No. Children don't wake up to kill because they don't have the brain capacity, the brain development to say, I want somebody dead. Children are impulsive.
Yeah.
This was a tragic incident where a kid who don't have emotional intelligence acted impulsively because he comes from a culture that promotes, propagates violence. Mm-hmm. Every day, all day, kill, die, nigga, shoot, kill. You can't take this in, and you lack training. You lack morals. You have to have a foundation of a value system to listen to this type of shit all day long, and you don't have.
Exactly. So back again, it don't matter. You got a 3.7. It don't matter what you in school. If this is the stuff you listen to and this is the impulse that you need, you already do it. There's people that go to school every day that don't bring no knife, no weapon, nothing like that. You anticipating something to happen. It wasn't like, oh, because whenever it's defense, I walk away. The last thing I want to do is conflict. And that's a person who know how to fight. I know how to fight. And the first thing I'm going to do is try to resolve it. Walk away. You're right. You got it. You won. And if we want to talk about self-defense, you said Texas. We are in Texas right now. You was in Texas. I'm in Texas. Texas it does have a stand your law ground. It says it means you don't have the duty to retreat before using force, including deadly force, in self-defense if believe you are in imminent danger. Now we got to go to 2. Reasonable belief. You use force, including deadly force, must be justified by a reasonable belief that is immediately necessary to protect you from attempted use of deadly force. What is proportional force? The amount of force used must be proportional to the threat you're facing. Somebody hitting you is not proportional to you bringing a knife.
No emotional intelligence where you've been taught to say, man, when you get angry, think.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So he was anticipating this to happen. That's why he had the knife, and we had this outcome. He didn't want to kill nobody.
I don't think he wanted to kill anybody. He almost kind of manifested it, though, just by his culture, that him around it, having the knife. But
Well,
accidentally,
I got a nephew that goes to school out there.
at Frisco.
And not to paint this kid in a bad image. This is why I used to tell my son, because I got a house full of guns. And I saw my son on Instagram one time with a blunt in his mouth. He was 14 years old with my guns. I told him I better not ever see you, because I'm trying to prepare this kid to go to the military. You don't, man, take that shit down, because that imagery.
And now we're going to talk about the real imagery. We're going to talk about the difference between white people and their guns and black people and their guns.
You can't take it back. So here he is. He got a video. He got a photograph, whether it's a real gun or not. That image is gonna destroy him in court.
It is. They're gonna.
You better not go to Collin County, where it's a predominantly white area.
And as you know, I'm in Collin County, Frisco, McKinney, Allen, Plano. It's a rich area, a wealthy area, majority white folks. You putting up that's what's going to happen. Just letting you know, you got to know the county you in. This ain't in Dallas County, brother. We not in Dallas. This is suburbs.
Where these law-abiding, upstanding citizens have a heart for this white kid who was killed with a twin brother, a mother and a father. Their pictures with guns show a hunting image. His pictures show a gangster image, gang sign. And you guys want to play the race card in Collin County? Chill out, black people. Let's make this about right or wrong, because you don't want to go to Collin County playing race. You'll lose.
You will lose, and that shows you.
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't stand on the side that it's a white or black thing. Okay, so that's not the whole issue on this, and I'm not saying this man is right, but he does stand to have a defense at any case. So regardless of what it looks like, right or wrong, should the young man had escalated it that quickly? Absolutely not. But we're going to work through this point by point. And there are some legal standings that this young man still has to stand on, if in fact some of the information is being given out, because nobody's information is absolutely accurate. I don't believe that whatsoever. There's no reason why a young man would be carrying a knife just for random reasons, just to try to show out, if he's never met this kid before. Now, both of them play football. So you mean in the same county, in Frisco, they've never run into each other even on a football field? That's absolutely impossible. And you know that playing football.
How do you bully somebody on the football field?
Again, I don't know the circumstances between these two young men. But to say these two within the same city limits don't know each other, and they're in opposing high schools, and they're in the same stadium, and they're supposed to be there, that's really highly unlikely. They've never met each other. I've known, and my son that played football has known kids that played for cross city schools and rivalries that they've had within the school, because you have trophies and stuff that are cross-city rivalry school trophies for football, track, and other things before you even go outside the county and you go to rurals and everything like the regionals. So you can't say that these two kids don't absolutely know of each other when they play similar sports throughout the years. So I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't care who that guy is that said that they don't know each other. It's pretty much impossible.
Devin, exactly. They rivals. You just said it. Cross-county rivals. If you a rival with somebody and you had an incident on the field, why go to their side of the field and sit under their team tent where you have a stadium? And we're gonna show pictures. You got a whole stadium.
And it was raining. It was raining. How hard it was raining, I don't know. The intent of why that young man sat there, I don't know. You would have to ask him. Now, he was willing to fess up when he was arrested. He goes, it wasn't alleged, I did it. So let's say that the brother owned up to saying, I did stab him. He wanted to know, he was concerned whether the guy was going to survive. He asked and answered all those things to the cops immediately after being caught there. So it wasn't like he ran for. He stabbed the kid one time. If it was out of maliciousness, why would you only stab a kid one time and run away instead of multiple times out of anger? So there's a lot of things that aren't being said but are being said. Did the kid do it? Yes, but there's some circumstances you have to look at overall is why you only stab somebody one time. When you're in fear for your life, you're going to, out of reaction, you're going to go at it and make sure that person stays down. You're not just going to stab somebody one time and run away, brother. You're just not going to do that.
Woman, why you only shoot him one time? You should have shot him a whole bunch of times.
How many women do you know only shoot one time?
One time? What you mean? I know people that shoot and drop the gun.
No, I know people that empty out clips.
That's people who train. Nobody who does not shoot rarely will empty out a clip. Okay. If nobody who has not shot, the shock of shooting actually stops it. Especially if you have a shotgun. That shot.
It depends on the person. You can't speak for every one person that shoots a gun.
Then you their reaction. You just spoke for somebody who had a knife, said he should have kept on stabbing him. And the people who keep on stabbing are the people who are accustomed to that. Just because you're scared, and you scared, you still stabbing. You anticipate.
And there's the other thing. Why are you scared of somebody if you've never met them before? Why would you be scared?
Why would you bring a knife to attract?
See, there's a lot of things that are not being said.
But that's what
it does not make sense. Even the usage of the word does not make sense. I pay attention to uses of words. When you use certain words, they don't add up. The math ain't math into some of the words that are being used and these descriptions and the way they're breaking this down.
Self-defense means if I have a way to get out, I have to take that path.
No. Not in this state. That's what stand your ground says. Stand your ground says you do not have to.
I just told you what I'm looking at the law right here. Stand your ground means proportional force. The amount of force used must be proportional to the threat you're facing.
The argument is he has a twin brother. How do you know it wasn't 2 against 1?
Now you're just making stuff up. Now you're just saying stuff. That's not what happened. The one brother.
How do you know what happened?
Let's go here. Let's start. We'll start with. Is my sound? Where my sound at on this? Here, 11, 12, 13. I'm not hearing nothing on my sound. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not playing at all.
If
there
it was said to Metcalf under the team's tent.
He always was.
17-year-old Karmelo Anthony.
New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him.
Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UI.
He pulled the knife from his backpack. All he had to do was pick up his backpack and run. As you can see, what I'm showing you right here is the tent. You have a whole stadium. This is that team's tent where they keep all of their equipment, all of their stuff.
Right.
That team. Why, when you have a whole stadium, do you need to sit there
under the
opposing team? District 11-5A track meet in Frisco. Here's what happened according to.
Look at it. I'm just showing you.
Oh, brother, I've seen the stadium, and I know Texas has some huge stadiums.
Huge stadiums.
So, huge stadiums.
Ridiculously
big.
I told you
millions of dollars are being spent in these. Yeah, millions of dollars are being spent on their stadium. So, yeah, I understand there was plenty of room to spread out. But in the rain during a track meet, you can only go under so many tents. We don't know what drew that one kid into that tent at that point in time while it was raining.
So,
but let me say this. Okay. Let me say this. Now, granted, Austin asked him, whether it be politely or not, to leave. Right? And Karmelo came back with his response. That's all been documented. But then Austin also had the ability to go get a track coach instead of push the kid or escalate it himself. So then when you talk about de-escalation and conflict resolution, Austin made the vital mistake of actually pushing the issue through ego because he was there in his school's tent while this kid was a stranger. And when the kid said no, instead of meeting aggression with aggression by going and pushing the kid, he could have simply went and got his track coach and say, hey, coach, there's an opposing team member sitting here in our tent, and I'm worried about our stuff being taken. So I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, there was a choice to be made. He could have de-escalated by walking away and going to get the coach himself.
I agree with you on that.
Okay.
That's no thing. Both did not exercise conflict resolution, and they should have done it. But what happened is a punch is followed by a knife. That's not a fight. And if we start to do that, we go down a whole slippery slope. And this video is going to talk about it.
Murder, right? You do not have a right to use deadly force in response to a shove or a punch. Now, mind you, all the witness statements are saying it was a shove that was goaded. But let's assume everyone's lying and this murderer is telling the truth. You still can't, because the scenario, what you're advocating for, and pulling Rosa Parks into, is that every time someone walks through a club and someone shoves them or bumps them, you can pull out a knife and stab them in the heart.
Exactly. When does it stop? When does stand your ground stop? You walk through the club, he pushed me, and I felt in fear, and I had to put a cap in him because he stepped on my shoes, and you know how I feel about them shoes. That's the slippery slope. There's sometimes what you're talking about, stand your ground, it has to be met with the same type of proportional force.
Okay.
Hard and
so if you want to bring up that whole situation, we can go back to Kyle Rittenhouse.
No, I can't talk about it. I'm talking about this.
But I'm just saying that was not proportional. Hold up. That was not proportional response. That was not a proportional response during that time.
Oh, we see, we moving the goalposts. I'm talking
about.
No,
we're not. All I'm saying is you got to go like for like. For instances, that was a gun versus guy on the street. A couple guns. I mean, a couple guys. He shot through a couple people. But at the same time, again, and I'm not making this a race thing, the kid made a choice. He had a knife in his bag for whatever reason, and nobody's going to know that until he says, why was he carrying a knife in fear? Why particularly was it this guy? Now, if he's owning up to stabbing the kid, if he's owning up to all these other things, I really want to hear his testimony on why he had the knife that day at that track meet, for what purpose. And I hope he tells the truth when he's asked.
But he can say all that truth he wants. That still don't mean he's not
I understand. That's not going to bring back the student. Absolutely not. And I'm not saying anything will. But you got to understand, there are reasons for people doing certain things. You can't say he came from a home where he was deranged and he just wanted to carry a knife to be Billy Badass. There's something else going on that's being unsaid, but being said at the same time by his actions.
So
why, you know what I'm saying?
Why was he in his Instagram photo with his gun rolling like this?
Yes, exactly, player. I understand that too. He's a child. So reasoning sometimes goes out the window when ego, vibrato, and embarrassment for whatever reason comes up. So there's a lot of things that are not being said, and I get it. It's not a straightforward case. Well, and that's what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get Fearless to understand. Oh. Yes, the guy was wrong. Well, hold up. The guy was wrong. Absolutely. What do you mean? Why would you bring up that extreme?
Because you just said they was bullied. So, they had to get their get back. They were scared to go to school. So they just came in with their guns and, had to take care of their business because they were scared.
But, okay, let's go there. Let's go there.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, we do know those kids were mentally disturbed. So there was a reason why they did that, besides for being bullied. Right?
I mean, it don't matter the reason. They still
So that's 2020. And that's what I'm saying. I would love to hear this young man's excuse on why he chose to bring a knife that day, and for what reason did he feel like he needed to have it there? Was he in fear of something, and why? And why didn't he think he could go to a teacher? Why didn't he think he could go to a superintendent or a coach? Again, this is what I'm telling you. You got these kids trying to resolve something the adults should have been present for and aware of. Why aren't the students able to talk to the teachers, the coaches, and so on in order to have these conflict resolutions? What is the limitation there that stops them from doing that?
Snitching. Black community, that no snitching, don't tell nobody.
Oh, you don't think white people have that same rule? You don't think white people have that same rule of snitching?
They will tell on you in a minute, brother. I know.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I went to white schools all day long too.
And they weren't snitching.
That's bullshit. No,
they snitching. The white people I know snitching. They not taking no blame.
You were definitely dealing with a lot of weasels in your lifetime.
Oh, they was weasels. They was weasels. Let's continue with this one.
And by the way, I dropped the
young man
who brought a knife to
school, went to someone else's tent, started being a jackleg, refused to move out, and then pulled out a knife and jabbed it in someone's heart. I would call him a murderer. And if a white kid did exactly what Karmelo Anthony did to a black kid, you would be out here marching in the streets.
Oh, no, I do also.
So if you have such a valid,
would. If it was the reverse, they would call it racism. They would say, if the black kid had done that to the white kid, it'd be a whole different scenario, entirely different.
Defense. Why are there so many lies swirling around in the slurry of social media that first it was that there was past encounters between these brothers and Mr. Anthony?
I'm going to tell you why they lied. Because the black people can't face the truth of what happened. Hands up, don't shoot. George Floyd didn't have fentanyl. We always got to take an alternative to the story to try to make it instead of just saying it's the truth. They go on there with all these conspiracy theories, these lies, make stuff up. And that really hurts the case, because then people say, man, we can't believe nothing y'all say. Y'all in doing all this embedding in the information. Crazy.
I mean, the blue collar pro pretty much hits it on the nose. The brother definitely used bad judgment, and he will pay for it with his life in some way. And unfortunately, somebody won't be here because of it.
Mm-hmm.
His girlfriend, that they robbed Mr. Anthony, that they attacked him and beat him up, and he was looking at his life was threatened. When none of it occurred, there's very detailed witness accounts available.
But there's all kinds of lies going on.
Send
there
me
are all kinds of lies going on.
Actually, there's not, right?
Now, what about?
And that's repugnant in Texas, right? So let me get.
Hold up, that was clipped. He was about to bring something up, and it got
Rosa Parks. He was talking about Rosa Parks. Hey, what Rosa Parks got to do with
this? Did you clip that out? Did you clip that out?
Yeah, because he was talking about Rosa Parks. That's what Rosa Parks got to do with it.
See,
he wasn't talking no facts. He was saying Rosa Parks.
That was a clip that's doctored. I'm going to give you a clip
because it's 30 minutes long. I couldn't have it 30 minutes. I wanted to show you. He about to explain Texas law.
Self-defense.
And
is he a lawyer?
Yes, he is a lawyer. Yes, see, I'm glad you asked. He is a lawyer.
I need to know who's talking to who. I need to know what's going on. Yeah.
He did not have the option to escalate to the use of a deadly weapon and deadly force in response to any sort of just shove, or even if it was a punch, right? You can't pull out a gun and shoot someone that punches you.
So what can you do if you get punched?
Hold on. In
Texas,
you can punch them back. You can shove them back. No, it's true.
You got a right to stop your aggressor.
No, you don't have a right to use
stand your ground and stop your aggressor.
So you think that we live in a state
he's showing every time what you're doing is inflating the law. That's not the law. Stand your ground means proportionate force. Even a police even a police officer, if somebody's coming at you, you can only use deadly force to match the force that they have. You can't just shoot somebody because you don't like them.
When shoves or punches someone, the other person can pull.
Hold up. Texas Penal Code Section 931, 932. Eliminate the duty of non-retreat if an individual is in a place that he has a legal right to be in and not engaging in any criminal activity. Self-defense threshold. Deadly force can only be used if there's reasonable belief or imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. It does not say the level. Hold up.
Imminent danger.
Listen. You keep adding, it has to be proportional. That is not in the law.
Keep reading the law, brother. Keep reading the law.
Proportional requirements. Force must be met proportionally to the threat. If this raises questions in case involving knives and unarmed assailants. So it does not necessarily say you cannot use a knife to an unarmed assailant.
Read it, man.
I just read it to you. Listen.
A fist does not get a knife back.
This raises questions. Listen. This raises questions involving knives versus unarmed assailants. Depending if you feel like you're the weaker of the two, what is proportional to one person being 200 and some pounds versus somebody being 110 pounds, maybe. That is a punch. Listen, a punch is not going to be proportional to a 200-pound person if you're 110 pounds. So let's be reasonable.
He's not 110 pounds.
I understand that. I'm using it as an excuse. You're thinking because one person might be, both of them are men, one person might not outweigh or feel like he could be a greater threat than the other person that he's fighting. Calm down. Really. I mean, so you don't know.
Do you think that the guy, Karmelo Anthony, thought his life was in danger?
What?
You think he thought his life was in danger?
I have no idea. I can't think for that young man.
Okay.
I have
if he
no
thought
idea
his life was in danger, why not pick up your backpack and
get up? Right. I understand that. That's why I said I can't answer. I cannot answer those questions for that young man. That's all I can say. I don't know why he chose. Here's the thing. Why did he choose to sit there? What was going on in this kid's head? Here, everybody's making these speculations. Okay, as far as what he's thinking. The only person that hasn't said what he's thinking is him himself. Why did he choose to sit there that day in the rain with all the other tents that might have been available, or even going under the bleachers where everybody might have been seeking refuge from the rain? Because you know it comes down in Texas. Okay, so we don't know how hard it was raining that time when the clouds opened up. A lot of people weren't on top of the stadium. They were probably underneath the bleachers, you know, in the dry areas, because the stadiums are that big. We don't know. So that's why I'm saying the biggest thing that's going to resolve all this is his testimony. And if he's willing to talk about it already and admit to it to the cops, even while he was being arrested, that he was even concerned for the kid, you know, that doesn't seem like you're going out there and doing it maliciously. You know what I mean? If you have some concern for the person you stabbed. That's not somebody acting like a thug.
Here's the thing. I don't think he meant to kill him. I don't think that was it. I can say that. Maybe there was no thing like I meant to kill him. But you gotta, that's just like saying, I drank a lot, I'm driving, and I didn't mean to kill somebody. You did not mean to kill somebody. But when you drank, when you took that drink, you already made a choice.
Right. And again, I have to stay with player with the passport, and that's why I am saying what I'm saying. We are still talking as if this kid is a grown man, and he's still a kid thinking with a kid's mind.
So a kid's mind is, I'm going to take this weapon, and that's...
Again, I'm not going to speculate on what a young man thinks. I'm not going to do that.
It goes back to conflict resolution. You were taught that in kindergarten, how you handle situations, how you walk away, how you do it. And in the Black community, we don't know conflict resolution. All we know is get back. Don't matter what age you are. It's the get back. People teach you when you're younger how you solve issues, how you have arguments, how you walk away. You deal with that in the white community. They deal with that when it's the brother and the sister, when it's this. It's the people who never deal with those conflict resolutions that they go from one extreme to the far extreme.
Exactly, Devin. A lot of kids are very impulsive and make horrible choices and do not have analytical minds at that point. They're very emotional depending on how they're being raised. And Joseph, yes, 17 might be as being able to be tried as an adult. He's not even being considered to be tried as an adult, even by the judge right now. So drop that part, get off of that, because he's still a kid and he's entitled to make mistakes, and kids do it all the time. This is not the first, it's not going to be the last case where a kid makes a horrible decision. And again, this kid did not grow up in a bad home. Frisco, Texas, it is a very affluent, wealthy town. Fearless is right there. So y'all can get off of that too. He's got a mom and a dad. He's got a very nice home. But a lot of white crazy kids have that too. So does that make it that he's going to be perfect? No. So I get what you guys are saying, but that has no factor in this. There's something going on that's not being said. And until he testifies, we really are speculating on a lot of things because we don't know his mindset. We're speculating on that as grown men and trying to reason it out.
Devin stayed out there in Allen, and he know they got that $82.5 million stadium out there.
Yeah, it's incredible. These stadiums these stadiums rival college level stadiums in their high schools, bro. I swear to God, I've been in multiple states. My stepson played football through freaking Pop Warner all the way through junior college. I've never seen stadiums this good anywhere.
Let's let my man cook for a moment. He gonna make some sense. Maybe.
Pull out a gun or a knife and kill them.
This is what I believe.
Yes or no?
This is what I believe.
No, you're going to lie.
If
Lie
you
more
go
to the
up to
audience.
someone and you threaten them, continuously threaten them, and then you follow up on that threat and physically attack them and assault them, they got a right to use whatever force is necessary to stop the aggressor.
Okay.
That's what I believe. And that's what took place in this case.
So here's a truth for you. If you have to make stuff up to justify what you're arguing, you don't have an argument, right? And the truth.
Exactly. That's what they're doing, making stuff.
Lawyers make arguments all day long with no basis. All they're doing is using some kind of logic in order to either sway the jury one way or another. There is no one truth. He's an attorney and he's going to spin it however he wants. What I want you to do,
people are making
once you get done with this, I'd like you to click on the link and let's go through some timestamps on this other one. He's a psychologist and he goes through the law as well and gives his opinion based on the state of mind of this kid. So I want you guys to hear that too.
But what he's saying is other people outside of these communities are making it up. They just add to the story. And he's saying, if you have to make it up, then you're wrong.
Truth is, the scenario, the Texas and America that you're arguing for, and you're only arguing for it because the murderer is black, right? If the murderer was white and the victim was black, you'd be leading marches in the street. People would be burning stuff down. But that's a whole different deal.
That happens all the time already.
You can't even see the slippery slope. You want an America where every time someone punches somebody on a campus, at an airport, and wherever, if they can get their hands on a deadly weapon, they can open up their bag and say, hey, you better not touch me or else, and then shove a knife in someone's heart or shoot a gun through their chest.
Exactly. I agree. That's not the America we should live in, though. You should be able to protect yourself, but there's a proportionate thing to protecting yourself, especially when you don't feel that your life is actually in danger. And there was just too many things. Oh, I done left us. What happened? I don't put us out. Where I put it? Oh, it's the wrong one, fella. Sorry about that. There's just too many things that he could have done. I've been on the other side that the white guy shouldn't have approached him. But whenever you're in a rival football game and you put yourself on a rival stage and you're going to sit under the rival tent and they're like, bro, why you on our side? It don't matter.
Exactly. I would love to know the answer to that vital question. Why did he choose to sit over there? If he didn't know the kid and all these other things were lies about them not knowing each other, why all of a sudden is he sitting under that tent? What is even provoking him to want to sit there?
And
there's got to be something driving this kid. Okay, understand this. You don't go and sit in a stranger's tent if you don't have some bone to pick with somebody. Why did he have a bone to pick specifically with Austin? So they're saying if they never knew each other ever in life, why all of a sudden that day did he want to have a knife in his backpack, go there with the purpose of sitting and starting problems with that specific kid?
I don't think it was that specific kid. I think that was the person who spoke up. Meaning, if it was anybody else who said it, it would have been the same issue. I just think that was the person that was like, hey, why are you doing this? I don't think it was the guy Austin himself. He was just the person who approached him. Yeah, I thought I had that. I'm trying to get this video for you.
Yeah. And when you get it tuned up, just go to 4 minutes and 30 seconds starting.
All right. Put it there. So even though we're making excuses for this guy, here's the thing. No matter what he says and reasons why, the result still becomes the same. Everything else is just an excuse as to why he did it. It does not justify why he did it.
Correct. No justification equals murder. Unless, like, they're coming to kill you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's not murder.
Dr. Grande.
And where you want me to go with
4 minutes, 30 seconds. 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
4 minutes, 30 seconds.
He's a doctor in psychology, but he's reviewing what's happening. He's already stated everything that was going on, but it's just a different spin without it being lawyer talk.
Again, Karmelo was charged with murder. This is the intentional killing of another person. It is a first-degree felony punishable by 5 to 99 years in prison. Premeditation is not an element of the crime. It is not necessary to be convicted of murder in Texas. There is a defense available in Texas called sudden passion.
I will say this, though. For all of y'all don't live in Texas, it's not the place you want to commit a crime.
It is not.
Especially is not the place you want to commit murder, because Texas has no discrimination on putting your ass to death. They will kill you. It don't matter. The one place you don't want to do that is in Texas, because they will kill you. Just want to say that.
Yeah.
Passion, which is a strong emotional reaction provoked by the victim. If proven, sudden passion reduces the murder charge to a second-degree felony. The conviction would still be for murder, but the penalty would be 2 to 20 years instead of 5 to 99 years.
Now
this leaves Karmelo with 2 possible defenses.
All right. So I do believe that there are different aspects of murder. You come home and then you see your wife in bed with somebody,
right?
And you know
that's a crime of passion.
Yes. You said 5 minutes, 50 seconds?
5 minutes, 50 seconds.
But different. In this state, the length of the knife doesn't matter. Rather, they focus on whether the knife was designed to injure and used in a way that could cause death. Under this definition, the knife that Karmelo allegedly possessed would have been a deadly weapon. Karmelo knew that he was not permitted to carry any type of weapon on school property or at school-sanctioned athletic events. What was he doing with a knife? This is consistent with him looking for trouble. Assuming the witnesses are correct about what happened, Karmelo and Austin were involved in a verbal altercation which turned physical. Karmelo sat under the wrong tent, which prompted Austin to direct him to move. One could argue that telling Karmelo to move is not provocation on the part of Austin. At this point, Karmelo said, "Touch me and see what happens," like he wanted Austin to touch him in order to justify a violent response. Karmelo was looking for a fight. Unfortunately, Austin did touch Karmelo, which was a bad idea. Karmelo responded by escalating the situation and inviting Austin to punch him. Austin never punched him, but he did grab or push him. Again, this is all according to the witnesses. This was a bad move by Austin, but his behavior would not have caused serious injury or death to Karmelo. Simply being grabbed or pushed does not necessarily justify the use of deadly force.
Imminent danger.
Right, I understand that. I'm just pulling these out from a different person than arguing.
You're right. And
right.
Drew, you're
now
right.
Go to 8 minutes and 25 seconds while you talk to Drew.
And Drew is right. He says people commit murder every day in Texas. Yeah, they do.
Yep.
And they do it in Louisiana where they got the chain gang.
Yes.
What's the prison down there? That famous prison?
Angola.
Oh yeah.
Is it Angola?
Yeah, Angola. They doing the crime there, and they got to go to Angola.
But 8 minutes 25 seconds.
8 minutes
would be the last one. Yeah, be the last one on that.
Stab him multiple times. He only used the force he thought was necessary to facilitate his escape. When considering all the evidence in this case, do I believe that Karmelo was guilty of murder? In my opinion, He was guilty of murder with a successful sudden passion defense, meaning he was guilty of murder as a second-degree felony. Austin made physical contact with Karmelo first. I cannot dismiss that as insignificant. It was a critical mistake on Austin's part, which only served to escalate the situation. Austin did not deserve to die because of this, but his behavior did provide Karmelo with a plausible argument for provocation. It is, of course, possible that Karmelo was looking for trouble and wanted to stab somebody that day, but I don't think that can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt with the available evidence. This case really comes down to what the jury will consider to be provocation. Who was the initial aggressor? Was it Karmelo for sitting under the wrong tent, or was it Austin for directing him to move? Maybe the jury will not consider either one of those actions provocation, and they will move to what happened next in the confrontation. Did Karmelo provoke Austin by saying, "Touch me and see what happens," or inviting Austin to punch him? Or did Austin provoke Karmelo when he grabbed or pushed him? For an incident that only took a few seconds, there are quite a few angles which a jury will have to carefully contemplate. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Karmelo was not necessarily looking to kill someone, but he maintained an attitude where he was not going to accept anyone insulting him. This is why he was carrying a knife. He wanted to be ready. When Austin engaged Karmelo over the seating situation, it was just the excuse that Karmelo needed to ramp things up and prove that he was a dominant, tough guy. He challenged Austin to touch him and to punch him, and Austin fell for it. Karmelo now had the opportunity to use his knife. As it turns out, stabbing someone to death is difficult to cope with. Karmelo had a strong emotional reaction after killing Austin, which led to him crying hysterically. Being a tough guy may not seem as appealing now. I think it's pretty likely that Karmelo will be convicted of some type of serious offense and be sentenced to prison. He was unhappy at being labeled an alleged offender. I'm pretty sure the state of Texas will be more than happy to drop the word alleged.
They will absolutely be happy to do that, and you can end it right there.
Yes, they will be. Yes, they will be. Guys, we want to know what you think, man. We're not going to be on long, maybe about another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
1 second. I'm going to put the link in here. We're going to be on for about another 15 minutes. We just want to get some opinions come up here because we're going from our perspective. How I see it is, I don't think the guy, Karmelo, he is young. You do stupid things when you're young. I don't think that he went there intentionally to kill someone, but it was like this, like my shirt said, everybody got a plan. You get
hit in the mouth, right?
And that's what happened. So
shout out to the blue collar bro. I appreciate the $2. Salute to you, brother. Salute. Thank you for joining live. And again, the link is in the chat right now, so you should be able to click on it and join the panel for a little bit. I went ahead and pinned it.
The wife has thrown something in the oven, and
yeah, I hear her.
Yo, what's up, brothers?
Hey, what's going on, Drew?
Not much, man. Hey, salute to you guys.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm listening to this story, and I'm gonna give you guys something that I was told to me in college, and it stuck with me to this day. And this brother was telling us, he says, if you don't learn anything in this law class or this business law class, learn this. He says this phrase, a reasonably prudent person. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yes, a reasonably prudent person would not have gone, or they would not have gone under that other tent. Or a reasonably prudent person, if someone's in your yard, you don't go out in your yard to confront them, to tell them to get out of your yard, and then you wind up killing them. Always remember, a reasonably prudent person would not do certain things. They don't get out of the car in a car accident to confront somebody, and it becomes a road rage incident. And I keep that to this day. What would a reasonably prudent person do? And I try, and I know that's one of the things I'm going to teach my daughter is be a reasonably prudent person. What is a reasonably prudent person, and what would they do? Right. Also, I want to also state that I think us as parents, especially new parents, I have a daughter that's 10, no fears, you have a young child, that when your child goes to school, and I do this with my daughter, even though she's 10, I take the rule book from the school and I read it to her so that she knows the rules and regulations of that school. It may sound so basic, but in at the elementary school level, it's easy. Yeah, don't do this, don't do that. But as your child gets older, that rule book and what you can and cannot bring and what you can and cannot wear, what you can't take to school. We've seen children, I mean, on accident, go to school with a knife just to cut steak and get suspended or expelled from the school. And that's because that parent did not take the time out to read that rule book to that child.
Drew, you are correct. There was a
Yep.
gentleman I was watching the show. He was from Australia, and he went to school and he just pulled out his pocket knife and was cutting the apple. They was like, "Wait, what are you doing?" Sent to the principal office, expelled. He's like, "This is just commonplace in Australia, and what's commonplace one place is not common everything." I know you said that. What I always took, which was kind of different, I took it from Judge Joe Brown. He said 15 to get you 20. So what that means is if a girl 15, it'll get you 20. I tell every dude that, leave him alone.
But Fearless, let me ask you a quick question. I'm gonna let this next gentleman talk. There was an incident with you, was it last year or 2 years ago, where you went to meet, was it
I would have been
Chris
in the wrong.
at the
I was in the
restaurant?
wrong. I would have been in the
Yes.
wrong.
That's
Here's
what
the
I
thing.
wanted to hear.
That brother is in the chat to this day.
I was already scheduled to go there, so I was already going to be there. That was already it. I was just saying where I was at. Now, the thing is, which would have been different, if they would have showed up, then it would have been on. And I don't know which way we would have went to say, hey, I said meet me here, and they had the choice whether to show up or not.
Yeah.
But that is impulse. Shouldn't do it. That's why I gave the woman my wife bail money. And then when I had the daughter, I said, you know what? I can't put myself in no situations anymore, no matter what. And as big as I am, as much as I can fight, I can't say always. I try to just say, you won. Because what I found, Drew, is the people that I say my name is Fearless. The one thing Fearless fear is the person who ain't got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
That dude is just crazy. And when you're a person who has something to lose, you start thinking and calculating how my life will change if I do this A, B, C, and D. And that impulse person who has nothing to lose can't think past that moment. And those are people who get it. So you are right.
I'm gonna mute up and let the next man talk.
We haven't kissed up and made up, but I heard that he got a prostate exam and he's feeling good about himself now. So he's calmed down since then.
Damn. That's messed up.
Maybe he had to get that venom out of him. I don't know.
Joe, welcome to the show, brother. How do you feel about this? And one thing I do want to ask the panel, do you think it has to do I know this became a race issue. Do you think it has anything to do with race? How Black people always feel we can't back down, we become impulsive, we have to, this thing where we don't have a lot of conflict resolution.
No, I think that's just human nature. So I don't think it's a black or white issue at all. I think for me, my issue is simply that if the shoe was on the other foot or if the skin was on the other person, then that black gentleman who was speaking about, who was so reasonable and rational and speaking about the black kid's cause for having committed that crime, he would not have that same level of reason or compassion or empathy if it was a white-skinned person. And we know that to be true because we've seen it over the last 10 or 15 years since BLM came into existence, right? So justifying criminals, justifying people who did some crazy things, hands up those shoes, and then you find out later on, oh wait, this person was actually, charging at a cop with intent. I mean, what do you expect a cop to do? But we find that out much later on down the line, those details. But that same logic and reason that they were bringing to the forefront, oh yeah, well, what about this scenario? Well, what if you could have did this? They don't have that same level in regards to if it was a white person. But on the flip side, I think that perhaps the reason why that is the case is because of the history of it having been the opposite, right? We know about Emmett Till. So I think it's sort of kind of like we know that we're not dummies. We know that sometimes we overreact on purpose in order to seek justice. Like for maybe um, O.J. Simpson, for example. I mean, everyone pretty unanimously agreed that he did what he did. I mean, but you was happy that he got off. Why? Because of the history beforehand, where we felt like we didn't get the justice we deserve from all the Caucasian people who got off for committing um, perhaps much more violent crimes against Black people. So it's kind of like a tit for a tat. For me personally, I steer away from it. I try to divorce myself from the racial aspect, even myself being a Black person. Because yes, I'm going to have a little more empathy towards people that look like me. Because I've seen violence towards people that look like me and racism towards people that look like me from the other side. But from a moral standpoint, I try to my best to look at it from a more logical perspective, like the gentleman that Ronan brought up, which I agree with. Um, Even though it's tough to admit it, but it's kind of like, yeah, I feel like that's most likely how the case is going to turn out. It's going to be more nuanced. It's not going to be as black and white, no pun intended. It's going to be closer to that last clip that he played at the 8-minute mark, where he's kind of like, this is how it's going to turn out. He's going to do some time. He might not do as much as you think. He's going to get justice, but he's not going to probably get as much justice as the other side think he should get. But the other side is going to feel like he should be completely vindicated, but he's not going to get that either. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. At least that's what I'm hoping, because if not,
Right.
it could be a race. I don't want it to be a race war or race riot in this country because of that. Where white people are attacking blacks, and now Black people are starting a White Lives Matter, Ku Klux. I don't want that to happen, right? So I want it to be fair and justice on both sides.
But Joe, let me give you the scenario, and I know it's sad. I'm gonna play into some stereotypes. We say, would it be different if it was the reverse? But let me show you how the reverse go. Yo, you better get up out my seat. What's up? You know how we going over dramatic. We gonna go off on somebody. Just like if you've been in a club and people like, hey, you in my seat. You stepped on my shoes, and we go dramatic and we go way off the end. And so if I was in that very same scenario, if I was the white guy and a big Black dude came after me, I might be fearing for my life. Because there's been times where I've been around, I'm like, man, these brothers gonna try me, and we're gonna try each other. And so sometimes what happens is we are our own worst enemy, because we create this stereotype. Just like the gentleman said, you show a group of white people with guns and they hunting. They're doing like, hey, we're responsible gun owners. Then you show the Black dude, he gang sign and he's holding his gun like this and he doing it for the gram. That's where we get in trouble, because of how we are perceived. And that perception, whether right or wrong, is what hurts us.
I agree. And the other difference that is, we talk about the sideways gun pointing and the gangster lifestyle. So we also promote it in our entertainment as well. So that doesn't help either. It's not even so much that we're showing it off on Instagram or social media ourselves, but we also um, um, we dance to it, we gig to it, we watch it on it. So not to say that you got your Clint Eastwoods, you got your Dirty Harrys and stuff like that, but it's mild in comparison to the stuff that we see on the other side. However, I think that people saying, "Oh, white people they hunt." Yeah, well, they also hunt kids in school too. So like, Black people aren't doing that type of thing. They do it, but not to that extent. It's crazy when it's always been historically their issue. So it's violence on both sides. They do express it differently, how based on the culture, um, intent. I mean, like, it's just different ways. A white person might be more calculated, like they're more likely to do white collar crime, where the Black person might go into a liquor store and rob the place. But they're both doing crimes, just in their own different way. It's just based on the culture, the race, and what they have available around to them. A white person's more likely to have a bank around them, so they're probably going to do some things under the table. A Black person's probably going to have more liquor stores around them. They're probably just going to go and stick up the place. It's just the difference of crime. I don't think one is worse than the other. It just depends on the culture. That's just the way that's the way I see it.
Now, I looked up the makeup in Collin County. It is about 50% white, 20% Asian. But when they say Asian, really what that means is Asian and Indian, and then about 11% Black. So and I'm going to combine these together, because usually the Asians think like the whites. So that's going to make it about 60% white and 12% black.
Come on the jury? Yeah.
No, just in the Collin County.
Oh.
So
You know, during the research, I actually looked at both of these funds that I just punched up there for you guys to see. And both of them are running GoFundMe type of funds. GoFundMe does not support somebody in murder, so you can't go to GoFundMe and support somebody on a legal defense. That's where the Give, Send, Go program comes into place. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse, when he was going through his situation, these guys were the ones that did it. And it's a Christian-based organization, so they try to be fair until you're proven guilty. To tell you the truth, both funds are about equal. Austin's family is about $320,000 up on their donations, and Karmelo's is $300,000. So even in the court of public opinion, people are still giving both ways.
That's surprising to hear.
Yeah.
And I don't have here's the thing. I do not have a problem with either person. People speak with their money. Austin gets money from people, and Kyle Rittenhouse gets money. Hey, you support who you want, and I always think that get the best legal defense the money can buy. And I had a poll going up. I think I'm about to just close this poll now. Where I wanted to know if you guys think it was a self-defense or if
the same thing.
Murder. So we got 67% of the people that was in the room saying that it was self-defense. 33% saying murder.
Now mine is absolutely different. I said, do you think it was self-defense? On mine, I have 44% that said yes, and 56% said no, it was not self-defense. So mine was exactly the opposite in my room. But we got a player with a passport on the panel. What say you, my brother? I saw you were very active in the chat with us thinking like men, and this is a child still, and the mentality of a kid. You want to expand on that?
Well, actually, man, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me up. I mean, y'all was making all the sense in the world. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was making all the sense in the world, covering it from both ends. But I think more importantly is the end game here is keep your ass out of the law's path. Right? That's the end game, man, because mind you, now these young men, this young man, he's gonna go to trial with this thing, right? And he's got grown ass men like us on a panel. Pretty much deciding his fate, and then there's going to be reaction videos.
Let me tell you how real this is, player. I was at my boy's house in OKC. He was on the phone with the family because he does Black student advocacy and he deals with bullying.
Right.
So behind the scenes, I was already knowing what was going on and the defense people that they were picking up to represent the family. And then he said, once it gets to the news, man, it's hard to get some of these families to come up out of their shell when it comes to telling the truth about everything that's going on. So he already knew it was going to get run away with after certain people got hired, like Kim Coles, this guy named Bill, and then this other association that spoke to salute LJ to what was going on. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you good. But what I'm trying to say is that, ain't gonna be no fair trials. You know what I mean? When cases like this get up in the news, because everybody's going to get a piece of it. Everybody's seeing it, right? So when everybody's seeing it, everybody formulating their own opinion. So now you going out saying, hey, we want some jurors we want to find a jury to give us an honest, we want them to come up with an honest verdict, but they didn't already seen everything, So with these young men and just with people in general, keep your ass out of the law. Keep your ass out of laws, because even though with that stand your ground, there's details in there that aren't necessarily spoke about in the law that can be used against you if you're dealing with a crafty lawyer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just it's an unfortunate situation, man, that it happened. Um, at the end of the day, we got two families that are torn up. You know,
Yeah.
um, and it's just an unfortunate thing, man. And at the end of the day, man, fellas, do the right thing. Do the right thing, and you try to do right by your kids and tell your kids to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, they still got to live their own lives and they still got to walk their own path.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you guys come from the old school too. Hey man, how did you manage to keep out the bullshit, man? I had a praying mother. You know
Slide
what
to
I'm
the
saying?
left, slide to the right. I got a praying mother that's in the other room right now. Believe me.
Yeah, man. So anyway, that's just all I had to say, man. Just stay away from laws, man, because this stuff, once you really start getting into the details, and we're not even talking about the details of the case, we're talking about the details of this lawyer may be a better trial lawyer than the next lawyer. This lawyer may know how to work the angles. Man, it's too much that we can't even begin to understand, man. But I'm gonna bang out. I appreciate you having me up, champ.
You
All right,
appreciate
brother.
it, man.
I'm
I
like,
think
come back now.
the blue collar, he actually has something. This is the climate of Trump. This is the red state. Texas is the red state.
Oh,
So
that's a
the
good
timing
point.
couldn't be worse than in the political climate. Piss poor judgment. And guys, I know, man, I'm guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. We got egos, testosterone. We got stuff we got to.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get beyond that, and do it. And it happens everywhere, even the travel community. We had BMT over in Thailand swinging at people in the club.
What?
Yes.
You gotta
Story
be
for another time, but yeah, that. So hopefully we can, resolve each other and maybe just buy each other a drink or do something. But
if the smaller details about, because it's news to me hearing that someone said when he impaled the guy that he cried afterwards. So it there's obvious remorse there even right after it having happened. Still doesn't justify him doing it, but yet he
Right.
still clearly understands the value of human life and the
Correct.
gravity of it at that moment. So it's like you would hope that they look at those things, and that's kind of like that's the empathy side of me. Like me looking at him, he could resemble me, right? So that's that part of it.
Right.
But will a jury in the county that you mentioned is predominantly white? It's not. Will it be a balanced jury of half of the people who I would like to see black, a part of the community, and half who I would want to see white because that's the other half of the victim? Will it be that, or will it be 80%? Would it reflect the county numbers for the jury, and it'd be 80% white, maybe
Well,
or
here's
maybe
the
even
thing.
1%?
Even if we have some black jurors on there because of the economic situation,
Right.
you got high class and wealthy black people who are working in professional fields that's gonna say, yeah, wait, you're not supposed to do that. Like, we don't
they're
want
not
that
going
ghetto.
to.
They
Yeah,
moved
right.
here to escape that
From
ghetto.
that.
So they
Exactly.
don't want that here.
But they're not going to. They're probably not going to care so much about the smaller details and the humanity of him, of this kid. They're probably going to more so say, well, he's a nuisance to society,
Look,
even though he looks like us. We don't want him here.
I really think the devil's in the details, and it's going to come down to this kid's testimony if it ever gets out. If somebody can actually get him to talk and understand why he chose that day to take a knife to the track, and why he chose that day to sit under a tent during the rain in that particular school and cause an issue. It's going to come down to those factors to understand his mindset. Both these kids do not come from bad families. Both of these kids do not come from the hood. Both of these kids have a future, or had a future. They both play football at a high level. They both had great grades. This kid was 3.7 versus the other kid that was 4.0. These kids had opportunities. So again, what is going on in the underlying mentality of this child? And that's why I call him a child, even though he's 17. He should be getting close to becoming a man. All men do not age well at the same time. Depends on what their experiences are. So at 17, this kid makes a foul choice in life and ends one person's life while ruining his own.
I will say this, guys. If you have sons or daughters, I think the best thing you can teach them is chess. Because with chess, you have to think 3-4 moves ahead.
Yep.
And I think what this showed when he stabbed, he didn't think of the next move. That's why he's like, dead? How can he be dead? He didn't think that what my actions are the results of my actions. And I think we have to, that's what we have to teach. What the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And the consequences of our actions.
That makes sense. I guess that's why my father made me do chess. I don't like chess. Then you became really good at it, and then you realize later in life,
I actually
this
did
is
like
a
that.
game
Right.
of life.
It's a game of life. You know, what can you say? What are you willing to sacrifice?
Pawn, the king, the duke, the rook. You must sacrifice something to win the game. And he unfortunately lost because he didn't calculate that sacrifice. But that's just, I don't know, some failure along the way. We don't know why. You said they both was raised properly. He got 3.7 GPA. It seems that it's so surprising, given the demographics of the area that you described. I didn't know about it. You know, it's a wealthy area. Predominant. So it's like, it's extremely unusual. Not that it doesn't happen, right? But it's just like, huh? Okay.
But Joe, I agree with you, but this is where I disagree at. A lot of times when white people go to the suburbs, they cool. Why is it that us, I'm including us, we always feel like we got to have one step in the hood? And I think Michael Irvin, he was talking about his son. And Michael Irvin is also from Texas, you know, plays football. He said his son was telling gangster and how he grew up. He's like, bro, you lived in a gated community. You ain't never been in a hood. Why is it that we always feel we got to have that one step in there to be to like vilify us, or I'm sorry, to what would be the word, to make us feel like we are branded?
You mean like T.I.'s son did? Same thing he did with boy, you've been raised in a gated community. What you talking about? You raised in the hood. So you're right. It is a black issue. I can't think of like a similar situation of that kind of wealth and white kids having to prove, like for example, being a hillbilly. Like I've never
heard, trailer park trash. You don't be like,
I've never heard of that. Never heard of it. No, I'm an Ivy League. My dad's from Ivy League. So usually it follows a train of, it makes sense. But for us, you know, you have the parent that rises above, the child is raised in that community. And yet somehow they, like you said, the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you know, hot or cold, you know, I'm going to pretend. And then until you realize, you know, when you actually follow through on some of these things that you listen to and you engage in, and you know, you want to be a part of that crowd and you think it's cool until it's not cool. I don't know why we do it. Because we make it cool in our media. We make it too accessible, too popular. You know, they call them YNs now and all these other names that they associate. So if you talk like that, you speak in that particular vernacular, that's hood vernacular, you know, it follows you and it's like insidious. It gets in your brain. Now you got the virus. Now you're listening to the music. Now you're watching the things. So then you could be this rich kid, was well off black kid, smart kid, smarter than I was. I did not get no 3.7 GPA in high school. As articulate as I speak, I learned how to read from my father, but I was pretty average, 2.5, 2.0. So I'm like, even I'm kind of like, what? Like, if anything, I should have been the one who did what he did, considering that he has a much better off situation. I was actually raised in the hood. So I don't know why we do it, but you know, it's cool until it's not cool no more.
Devin, welcome to the show, my friend. Appreciate you joining the panel. What say you?
How you doing? How you doing tonight?
Fantastic.
All right, welcome to the panel. What's going on, brother?
Appreciate it. Nothing much, man. I really feel bad for the young man, because I went through a similar situation when I was even younger than him. When I was in 6th grade, I got charged with attempted murder.
Oh my goodness!
Damn.
Yeah.
You want to give us the background scenario, or you want to?
Yeah, you can't throw something out there without.
Yeah, I got you. But it's like Fearless said at the time. I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know, it's that I'm gonna show you. Don't play with me. So, to make the long story short, had a lot of things going on at the home. My mom's single mom, a lot of other issues. Kid tried to steal a bike from me, and I felt and I really ain't like that because you stole from me, and on top of that, I feel like my mom worked very hard for that. So you playing with my mom. So saw him at school. We in the same class. Where I with he wasn't really paying attention. Got behind him, put him in chokehold. Damn near killed him. Unalive. So, and luckily he lived, but they. I got
he charged for a kid like that. Yeah, that's. I mean, I put a lot of people in chokeholds.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But my at the time, just it's that confidence, the emotions high. It's not really caring about life. So I feel sorry for the kid. Just an unfortunate situation.
So my thing is, even when you said that, I'm thinking to myself, you had a justifiable reason in your mind why you went after this kid.
Yeah.
The question still lies with this young man is why was he there and why was he choosing to do that day?
Yeah. That's gonna be a lot of questions. I see some people talk about how they possibly have had prior altercations.
Well, now they're saying that they don't even know each other. I don't know how that could be being in the same city.
In that case, if they don't know each other, that's actually the best option for Karmelo.
Yep,
if they knew each other, they're gonna say, "Oh, so you went to that tent knowing altercation could happen, knowing you had a knife."
Premeditated. Yep.
And
the fact that they don't know each other is just a random. That there was a random act.
Yeah, I'm thinking what it was. This is my honest opinion. It's, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're not gonna talk to me like that. I'm gonna show you. Split-second decision. You done ruined both of your lives.
Right.
And it's like, then and I feel like he was remorseful. Like, oh crap, what did I do? Is he gonna be okay? It's like.
Or was he remorseful at all about him? Was it
absolutely. He was asking the cops even after he got arrested. He was saying, "Do you think the kid was going to live? I was in fear for my." Oh yeah, immediately.
And they're gonna use that against him since he voluntarily said that. The prosecutor's gonna try to use that against him.
I mean, they can, but then you can also say he had a moment of temporary insanity. For what reason is why I'm saying, why were you so juiced up in your head that you felt that threatened for a minute till you blanked out? Then when you realize what you did, you are so remorseful, you break into a tears, and then you start asking, how is the guy going to be okay?
Because the thing about the knife in Texas, the knife wasn't illegal. Some people think the knife was illegal to have.
Yeah.
In Texas, you can.
It wasn't?
No, you can carry knives. Yeah.
Oh wow! But at schools though.
Not at schools, right? Not at schools.
Okay.
Yes. No. Yeah. No. You can. It's a certain type of knife. You cannot bring a location.
You know what?
Basically, a knife that's a knife that's over 5 inches.
I would say, you know what? I think you're right because it's a farm country. There's a couple different rules when it comes to farmers and having certain tools on them at all times. Yeah. So
it's
with you saying that kind of
location restricted knife. That's what it's called.
So in Texas, you generally cannot bring a knife
to a
the blade longer than 5 inches to school. These are considered location restrictive knives in our
There you go.
Knife blades 5.5 inches or shorter are permissible.
Thank you.
That is bizarre. That is a bizarre law for.
Well, not if you live in the country, it makes perfect sense. If you don't live in the country, it don't make sense. If you live in the city, it absolutely makes no sense.
Because here, you always, especially
it's a tool.
Like in some rural areas, you always have a person that has a knife on their belt, and they do it for everything. It's just that's part of their growing up. They it's not
like a slingshot or something like that.
Just how to use it.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know that. I'm a city guy, so hey, that's Texas.
And I'll address this one from the blue collar bro. He says, "I'm from Baton Rouge, but live in North Shore now. We are from the trenches, brother, and we survived childhood. Here's what I always say. I'm from the trenches. I'm from a place called Uzi Alley. When people say you changed, I say, brother, yes, I changed my name. I ain't going by my street name no more. I done changed my zip code, my phone number, my tax bracket. I don't want to go back to the hood." And I've described when I went back how I was like, my gosh, man, is this the mentality of the people that I came from? And it was just ruthless. I mean, just they was plotting on people. And I was like, man, Is this what I came from, and I can't go back to it? And that's what happens to a lot of rappers and stuff. They always feel I got to go back to the hood, and they pray. Then people don't want to see you succeed. Most people get done by the people they close to who want to get back. What was that dude, Extension or whomever he was?
Nipsey Hussle.
But
Yep.
a lot of people have acrimony. When you become successful, all of a sudden they believe that you owe them for your own success. Like they helped you in some way.
We made you. You the raps, your rhymes you talking about, man. Whoa, man. I think I might have saw you in passing. Where you come from? You owe me. Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly at the end, I think the kid, I mean, I remember the testosterone that I had, it was crazy. Still crazy now, but then it was like all of a sudden, you still trying to deal with that. So I honestly feel like that I agree with what Devin said. It's just kind of like a tit for tat. It was raining outside, I would imagine. It's raining. You're not thinking about trying to get to you're just looking for the nearest tent to go up under to escape the rain. That's what I'm assuming. That's what I would do. And then you get met with hostility from someone where you would think you would be welcomed in from, let's get out the rain, regardless of what team. So maybe he's feeling like, wait a second. So then, he's yelling at him, get out from under our tent. He's thinking, I don't want to be in this rain. Where's the love for me to be? I don't care about all that. He starts pushing, touch me again. So then it's kind of like, I dare you to touch me. So they're both kind of egging each other on, back and forth.
Right. And
But
that's why I said I don't
issue.
think the whole story is being told, because the story is too simple to show vibrato. Obviously, the kid is in his home tent. He's going to be a little more boisterous and bold and confident about telling this kid to get the fuck up out our tent. You don't belong here. He ain't going to say it nice.
Let me ask you a question, Ronan. If Karmelo Anthony didn't have a knife, do you think he would have left the tent?
I don't know. I don't know if the kid can fight. I don't know if the kid can fight. I don't know if the kid can fight. The kid might be able to fight. We don't know.
But if he could have fought, he would have fought.
Not necessarily. Okay, first of all, listen. Let's back up for a second and be unreasonably dumb. Okay. We are talking about football players here.
The jock.
He's in a tent full of all the opposing team. He's there because it's maybe raining hard, like Joe just suggested. It's raining hard. He just grabbed the first tent that was closest to him. He couldn't make it back to where he needed to go, and he just didn't want to get wet. Okay, you're in an enemy tent. You don't know. You don't know what you're going to do until you get put in those situations. So I'm not going to answer for anybody to what lengths they would go to defend themselves, how confident they are in the way they carry themselves. I know who I was. I know what I did. I don't think I was ever bullied in my life.
If I'm surrounded by one person, I might fight. If I'm surrounded by four people and I'm in the hood, if I don't have a gun, I'm going to run.
But let me tell you something.
I can't. I'm not standing there. If you have
me and my brother, listen. Me and my brother both were trained in martial arts when we were kids. My brother took on 13 kids in the middle of a fucking mall, and nobody moved. Everybody froze. And I'm sitting there in my pockets. I'm 4 years younger than him, looking for a knife to even help defend him. He took care of all of them. So you don't know who that dog is in that fight until you see them. So I don't know what this kid could do. You get what I'm saying? Everybody has their own different life experiences. Some people know how to fight. Some people don't. Some people go looking for a fight with multiple people just to see how fucking good they are. I don't know the mentality of this kid. But obviously he said he was fearful of his life. That's what he told the cops. Do you think this could be self-defense? Is the kid going to be okay? I'm so sorry. Or he started crying. So there's a whole wealth of emotions going through this kid. Again, we're not going to know until this kid starts talking.
Yeah.
And it gets published.
I feel like he already started talking the moment he walked into the police. But if they're going to, once his, is he going to change his story after, he's going to polish it up? His lawyers are going to tell him to say this, say that. I feel like him going into the police office shortly after what people witnessed and seen, I felt like that was already the testimony. But I don't think they're going to account that because it's not in the court itself. Perhaps
And
they
I would
will.
say
I don't
this:
know.
the police didn't have to overly apprehend this kid. He freely walked up to him and said, "Here, I did
I
it."
did not know that.
And he said that it was alleged. He goes, "No, sir, it's not alleged." He said, "I did it."
Wow.
So he actually,
Good.
before even
Good
being put
accountability.
under oath, he said, "I did it. It's not alleged."
That's very unusual. Yeah, even if that's not. It's gonna be an interesting case. I mean, he should still do some time because he like
Right. So
Willie
he
said,
already knows he's going to do some time. It's a
but I
matter of
don't
how
think it
much
should be
time.
maximum punishment. Like
Right.
he's talking about, they
And
have the
like he
death
went out
penalty
and
and
plotted on this kid, but that's why I'm saying if they've never met each other and there's no history of bullying, then why specifically this kid, that tent, that day, and why did he have a knife on him if he was not fearful of anybody?
But the problem is, you say it might work against him. That's wrong. In law, it's called excited utterance. And that's when you say something immediately after, meaning you haven't had time to think, you haven't had time to compare your thoughts. You're saying exactly how you feel. And those they take those words as being most truthful.
That's most truthful.
Because you haven't plotted it. You have, when you have time to prepare your thoughts, it's different. When you just saying it, that's it.
Everything we
Guys,
say
we're not
can
going to
and will
keep
be
you
used
focused.
against you in court of law.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If the kid's already saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't," I hope, that you understand I was scared and I was trying to defend myself, but is the kid okay? Is he going to live? Concern, those things without even acknowledging that he just told the truth on himself. You get what I'm saying? So.
Now, can I ask you guys something?
Yes. Yeah. And then we'll wrap it up with that.
Yeah. So, a lot of people are wondering why they charged him with first-degree murder, and they don't understand why. And the reason why is because, as a prosecutor, it's easier to charge somebody with a higher charge, and if you need to go drop it, than it is to go a lesser charge and try to get it higher with more evidence.
Correct.
That's why they gave him a higher charge.
Exactly.
Correct. It might wind up being manslaughter.
First degree, and then you can plead out the second degree or however they want to do it.
Manslaughter.
Yep.
And then
right. It'll wind up being manslaughter most likely because if they didn't know each other, there's no premeditation or whatever. Now it's like, what is it? Yeah. Now what is it?
And what's the years on that? Approximately.
Well, they always say like 2 to 50 in Texas.
Oh, that's crazy.
They sure the hell did. It was like 99 damn near. 5 to 99 years. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's not.
I see him getting hit for a first-time offender, no previous history, probably 5 years.
Good student, athlete,
maybe a year or two.
All the things that are supposed to work towards your good, right?
Yep, year or two, and then you'll be on probation.
5 years.
You don't know what that, and people don't understand this. 17 going into prison at a high rate. You don't know what prison gonna do to him.
It's gonna end his life pretty much. He ain't gonna be able to do anything. It's gonna change him. I mean, we had a guy on our show that went in at what, 18, 19 years old?
He did 25.
Right.
And he was violated. Let's say that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But he's 17, so he's not going to be junior, right? He's not going to be in a.
I don't know if they'll try him as an adult or as a.
Right now, they're still saying they're going to leave him in a juvenile court.
He's basically turning 18, so by the time they actually go to trial, they could just. I feel like they might try to get him in the general population.
Let me put it this way: if he wants to go, if they're going to plead this out real quick and get it before he turns 18, and he's already remorseful, I don't think the judge is going to draw this case out. He'll try to end it quickly. You know what I mean?
Man, it's too much. I don't think it's too much. Too many different directions this can go. I don't want him to get violated. I don't want him to serve maximum time. It doesn't deserve that. But also, he has to serve some time. But also, he ruined his man. Just a young black kid. We all hate to see it. He looks like. I mean, he was in a much better situation than I was growing up, and that's just the worst snap decision. And like you can, some things you can learn from as a kid. So yeah, we all make mistakes. I get that part wrong, and yeah, and I did too.
Right.
Little barbells, piercings in my eyebrow. Like some mistakes, like okay, I can walk away from this. But some mistakes, there's some serious consequences to it. Unfortunately,
absolutely,
absolutely, with a heavy penalty, man. Oh man.
And you hate to see it in these kids, these young kids. especially kids with the best opportunities in the world. You know, they come
Better than
from
we
good
had
families. Yeah.
Better than we had it. Money and
It's sad.
big
So
old
just to let you
field.
know, in 2024, there was 2 homicides in the county of Frisco, compared to Dallas today, like 200.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's what you're talking about. It was just
We talk about the county where this happened at.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2. So this would be one of 2, essentially.
No, this is
Frisco-
2025.
Frisco
so
City in 2023 was the safest city in the country.
yeah.
In the country?
You had 0.054 crime rate.
That's basically
Yeah, so
unheard of.
Yeah, let's see. Frisco index of 34, making it let's see, 14 crimes per 1,000 residents. So it's one of the lowest.
The Cowboys out there. Jerry Jones don't want nothing to happen out there.
Oh, hell no, he don't want nothing to happen here.
Safest I thought that was Auburn Hills. I thought that was Ann Arbor where I'm from. Grosse Pointe where I'm from. I didn't know.
You from Ann Arbor? My boy's from Ann Arbor.
I'm from Detroit, but I go to mostly Grosse Pointe, where the Fords and the Goodyears. I've met a few of them. Nice people, interesting people, crazy people, but good people. A lot of money. I thought that was the safest area. I could have sworn.
And usually what crime would happen out here isn't that type of crime. It would be, I mean, I've seen this,
Petty crime.
People leave their door unlocked, their car door, and people go through their car, people just opening up car doors to see what they can take from people's cars. So stuff like that.
So it's not hard crimes. It's not like grand theft, larceny, or nothing like that. So this is an oddity. This is,
and that's what makes it sad. Meaning if it was in Dallas County,
it would be
they are accustomed to that type of, that crime. That just happens all the time. So now you're going with people who have not. This isn't something they deal with on a regular basis. They don't hear about it when they turn on the news. That's happening over there and not here. And
that's why you feel like this has got much of the publicity, because I was like, why is this case so specific other than it was a white kid being killed? But now it makes more sense. It's because it just doesn't happen, essentially.
Affluent neighborhood, affluent kids. So you don't have those elements like, oh, it was a, it was that I needed this, or a crime, I'm robbing you. It was like, wait, hold up, these kids are going to one of the best high schools in the country. What are y'all fighting over?
Right, you got everything to live for.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, we really appreciate you joining. We just wanted to jump on and get some opinions about this, man. Join us tomorrow.
Now this fool wanted to go solo dolo. He didn't want to include me, man. He didn't want no point counterpoint. He just wanted to say his piece and get in and get out, man.
But you know that how you put he put an X over your head and a check mark over his.
No.
You know what? I had to change that. Let me put it this way. I had to change that thumbnail because he put himself center mass. He didn't even want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I had to move his ass over. I had to move his ass over by my little modification and then throw myself up in there. That's crazy, man.
Well, you couldn't convince him to take the X off the top of your head.
I was like, you know what? I'll go like point counterpoint. Yeah, I'll go point counterpoint. It's okay.
Because the thing is, if we put Ronan on the other side, they would have thought he was white anyway. Light skin. They'd been passing for him. Like,
just because, you just been in the sun a little bit longer. That's all right. That's all right.
Man, thanks, guys. We greatly hope your opinion. I hope that we changed some lives here and we made some changes. That's what we want to do.
Or at least get you thinking.
Think as adults, man. Because there was just no winners, man. It was just a sad situation all the way around. It's one of those things you just wish that never happened. So
if you can only take a couple seconds back in your life,
you
get what I mean?
Exactly. A lot of us would wish that we could take some seconds back. But with that said, man, please thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Join us tomorrow.
That's right. Tomorrow.
We got
I think that topic
duel. We're not going to have Canon tomorrow, so it's just going to be a Lions Den with me and Fearless.
And that's why are those women now attracted to feminine men? We'll find out, man, because they are. They loving the feminine men now. They don't like the masculine men, maybe because they're masculine. But we're gonna find out tomorrow.
Well, they always have. They call them Prince.
Oh,
it's always been a thing. So I don't know what y'all talk. It's been that way forever.
Man,
Shalimar.
I know that's right. Elder Barge and all that. Well,
Hey,
until next time.
Hey, I used to look like those dudes, man.
Peace, fellas.
Deuces.
Like, subscribe, and comment. Catch us on the replay.
Absolutely.